Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Ezgi and I'm a 28-year-old doctor. I graduated from medical school about a year and a bit ago now, and I'm in my second year as an FY2 doctor. So on this channel I talk a lot about my job, medical school, and just generally my day-to-day life. But I had many jobs before I qualified as a doctor, and this video is going to be all about that. Many of you may not know, but I'm originally Turkish. And I'm going to be making a big generalization here, but if your parents are Turkish, they probably will have done one of three jobs. 1, ran a newsagents. 2, ran a kebab shop. 3, was a mini cab driver. And I know there's loads of other things out there that people do, but the generation from which my parents came from generally did that. So my dad had his own newsagents, and I used to help him on the weekends and some of the weekdays, mainly helping with stock and just being on the till, etc. And it used to be a bit weird when my schoolmates used to come into the shop to buy things, and they were like, "Oh, Ezgi, okay." But anyways, that was a bit short-lived because my dad ended up selling the shop and so on. So my job after that was working in the school's canteen. So when I was in sixth form, my school offered a couple of jobs for the students, and that involved giving out sandwiches to students. So we weren't involved in making the sandwiches, we were just standing there giving them out. So my lunchtimes consisted of year 7s coming up to me being like, "Can I have a tuna and sweet corn? Can I have a chicken salad?" But I wasn't complaining because they were paying me for an hour's work when lunchtime was only 40 minutes. And if you remember the EMA, you might be a bit young for that, but I used to get the EMA and I used to get that per week. So I was making pretty good money, not gonna lie. So I finished sixth form, and if you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I took a gap year. And during that gap year, I worked in a pharmacist. I worked in Lloyd's Pharmacy, and I was contracted to work 2 days a week. Basically, the pharmacy was open from 9 to 7, and the regular workers will do 9 to 5, and me and another girl would come and just do 5 to 7. It was a bit crap to start off with. It was only 2 hours a day, but it was close to home, and once I got used to the work, I was getting extra hours, so it was not too bad actually. And I enjoyed it quite a bit as well, just generally being in a sort of medically environment was quite nice for me, and I wrote about it in my personal statement and stuff. So, but how much was I getting paid for that? I think I was getting paid £5.50 an hour, so that was about £11 a day, and like 50 something pound a week. It wasn't amazing money to start off with, but being 18-year-old, it actually wasn't that bad. So yeah, that was that. Then I started university, and my first degree was Biomedical Sciences. I think it was when I was in second year, I applied to be a mentor for the first year students that was coming on. So this was, I think it was like a 10-week program where you had a group of about 8 to 10 students that you'd meet up with them once a week, and you'd mentor them, initially just showing them around the uni, and then focusing on sort of small tutorial groups and just problem solving. I can't even remember what I did now, but they were paying me per hour for that as well. I think it was about £10 an hour, which was also quite nice, in addition to the bursaries and the grants that I was getting, so I wasn't complaining. And then when I finished my first degree, I was then employed again by the university to help with the graduation ceremonies and the open days. So in the summer, my university was running graduation ceremonies for about 4 to 5 weeks, and I was one of the people who would check tickets at the door and basically just make sure that the whole event was running smoothly, and greeting all the students and their parents and making sure that everyone was happy. And I met some great people there, and at that point I was applying for medical school, so I met some medical students, and I always used to look at them as like a different species, like, wow, they've gone to medical school, they're amazing, and I just used to be like so impressed with anything that they did, even though they were just normal basic human beings as well. But that was really quite nice. And then straight following from that summer period, we then went on where the new students were coming into university. So We were doing tours of the uni, showing them where to get their ID cards, making sure that they got their IT training. So I was involved in that as well. So that was what I did for that summer. And then I went through my final year of uni where I didn't really have much time to work. So that time period just went by like that. And then I got into medical school. And once you get into it, you just realise, actually, this is just any other degree. And the people who are doing this are great, yes, but they're not different and amazing to everyone else doing other degrees in the uni. But anyways, that's a different point. So, in following my first year of medical school, so basically when you're in university, you probably know that you start uni around end of September, October, and you by the time your exams finish, you're done sort of mid-May, June. So you actually have quite a long summer break. And I tried to make use of that time by getting a job. I wasn't privileged enough to come from a well-off family, so I couldn't go on luxurious holidays and make the most of my summer holidays. I did go on some holidays, yes, but I know I had to basically get down and start working. So that summer I started working in Cineworld. So I applied for quite a few jobs, and I think Cineworld were actually recruiting at that point because it was their summer period, and I got called to an interview. It was like a group interview and stuff, and then I got the job, and basically it was just a job, it was just like a customer assistant. So you used to work at the tills, you used to sell popcorn and like drinks. I used to check tickets at the door, and then basically when people had finished watching the movies, we used to go in and clean. That didn't involve like a proper clean, because basically what we used to do is we just used to sweep the popcorn around so it wasn't sort of obviously in your face, and in the evening the actual proper cleaners would come and do a deep proper clean of all of the theatres. Did I enjoy that job? Not really. It was hot, and then because it was during summer it was hot, and being behind the till where they have their sort of warmers where the popcorn is kept wasn't very nice, and the uniform was like this weird plasticky t-shirt. It was just all very uncomfortable, and I think I was going through a phase with my acne, and so I was just really uncomfortable with my skin, with myself, and I felt like everyone was watching me. But the few things that I took on from that job, so ever since working in Cineworld, I never had a fizzy drink. So since that day, I've never had Coke, Fanta, Sprite, or anything like that. There was this one day where I was asked to help with some of the cleaning in the kitchen. So like you'd sweep the floor, make sure that that was all clean. And basically there's a rack where all of these soft drink syrups are kept. So if you don't know, basically in these large restaurants and cinemas, etc., they don't have barrels and barrels of the drinks. What they have is they have Coca-Cola sending them the syrup, and that gets connected to a pump. And then within that pump, you also have carbonated water. So when you press the lever, you get the syrup mixing with the carbonated water, and then you get Coke. So when I was cleaning the kitchen in the background, in the back, I saw all of these syrups, so the syrups for Coke and the syrups for Fanta. And I think the one that put me off the most was the syrup for Coke, because it just looked like black, thick tar that was just dripping. And I was just thinking to myself, like, why am I putting this into my body? Like, what purpose is this serving? Okay, it tastes nice, but there are other things that taste nice as well. Why am I drinking this? Like, I don't want this black, thick thing to be going down my intestines and doing whatever it's doing. So I made a decision at that point to not have any fizzy drinks. And I've actually kept to it quite well, because even though I've been tempted, I just kept remembering what I saw, and I've just never bothered drinking it since then. And another thing I came away with from that job, basically I realised how cheap the popcorn they produce are. So the bags that they use to serve the popcorn to you is only a couple of pence, and the popcorn itself is maybe about 20p. So this whole thing that they're giving you doesn't cost more than 50p, right? They sell that to you for minimum £7-8. And I was like, what? Like, knowing how much it costs and how much they're charging you, it just feels so stupid to buy into it. So I basically just stopped buying popcorn at cinemas as well. So that was my Cineworld experience. And then I carried on with medical school. A couple of years later, I got a job in a furniture shop. It was called Fish Pools in Waltham Cross. It wasn't a furniture shop only, it was sort of like a little department store. So you had like a kitchen area, furniture, garden stuff, bedroom stuff and all of that. And it was really like a nice, sophisticated place to work, and I felt really posh. I was assigned to work in the kitchenware bit. So we were selling all these pots and pans and cutlery, and it just felt really swish. And I was getting paid £11 an hour, and it was only a 6-hour job, which was like a Sunday. It was amazing, and I really enjoyed that. People there were great, but it was at the time period where I started clinical work with medical school, and even though it was just 6 hours on a Sunday, I just didn't want to be bothered with it. I just wanted the weekends to myself, and at that point I'd gotten my loan for university, so I thought to myself, okay, I do need the money, but I'm not desperate. I can just carry on like this for the time being. So I stopped, and my sister actually replaced me at work, and she carried on working there for about a few months before she left to go to uni. So that department store was probably the last job I had before graduating from medical school to become a doctor. And I never had any full-time jobs till then. No, they were all part-time jobs. So graduating, becoming a doctor was the first full-time job I have ever had. But it was nice because that meant I was actually making proper money. I had a routine to my life and my day. I'm quite happy with where I am so far. But that's not to say I'll go into part-time doctoring later on. Depends if we want to start a family and that sort of stuff, but that's years away. So yeah. So that was it, guys. Thanks for watching. That was all the jobs that I had before I became a doctor. So I'd like to say I worked quite hard during my uni years to get to where I am. I didn't really want to rely on all my loans that I had. I tried to keep them at a low, especially now because the interest rates for the student loans have gone up and they're a bit different to the old loans. And I don't know if I'll ever end up paying off my student loan. That's a different story. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.